Hey everyone, welcome back to another driving review video here on the channel. Today you join me in the 2025 Lexus NX450h, or the plug-in hybrid version of this vehicle. Now, as I mentioned in some of my other videos, this is the very first press vehicle, or was the 350h, just over a year and a half ago, and I'm excited to revisit the NX platform and vehicle in general, given I've had a lot of time behind the wheel of other makes and models since then. So as usual, we're going to start off with my acceleration test. I have the vehicle only in EV mode. And we're going to go full throttle. Oh, we got just a bit of wheel spin. And it's not all that bad considering this is just a plug-in hybrid vehicle and we're well up to speed. So under the hood of the 450h, you're going to find a very similar powertrain to that of the standard hybrid I tested, which is the 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder paired to technically 3 electric motors. One's more of a motor generator, but one at the front axle, one at the rear axle, for a total system output of 304 horsepower combined. And unfortunately, there's no torque figure that they put out for this powertrain, but I can tell you it's certainly a little bit more powerful than that of the standard hybrid that I last tested, given it's a higher voltage, higher capacity, and higher output battery system for driving on all electricity. Now, going back to what I was mentioning here just a couple seconds ago, the NX not only holds a special place in my heart for being the very first vehicle I've gotten on press loan, but just because while the videos performed very well here on the channel, likely gave me other additional opportunities to test and review not only Toyota Lexus products, but other manufacturers, and I thought it was a very impressive small luxury compact SUV. And I have to say, I still hold that opinion given the year and a half that's gone by and the 50 plus vehicles I've gotten on press loan between then and now. It's just offers a lot for the dollar. But I do have to say the plug-in hybrid might not be the best choice for everyone, given the fact that it does command a substantial price premium over that of other powertrain configurations, including that hybrid. This one that I'm currently driving is just over $66,000, including destination. Does have a lot of the additional features and options that you may or may not want in this vehicle, but nonetheless, the plug-in hybrid is going to start over $61,000, including destination, for a base configuration. And now that is the luxury trim level. It already includes a lot of standard features, but there's a few boxes that I personally would opt to check, which brings it up to $63,000, $64,000, leaving out a couple that are found on this particular vehicle. Nonetheless, I really have enjoyed my week with this vehicle. Now, I've done a full range test on it. Of course, done my dedicated likes and dislikes, an infotainment system tour, walk around. So make sure you guys check those videos out if you guys are curious, both here on this 2025 and that other one that I tested a year and a half ago. Both beautiful specs, and I have really positive opinions and everything on both particular vehicles. Now, we're coming up to stop traffic for no particular reason. And the regenerative braking on this vehicle is actually pretty smooth. It is kind of a brake-by-wire, it feels like, system, so there's not a lot of connection to when the mechanical brakes might come on versus the regenerative brakes, but I think the blending that they've done is fairly smooth. Now, I've put the vehicle back into hybrid mode just because that's where obviously you'll get the most output from this platform in terms of acceleration, but that's probably a lot of times where most people would end up driving this vehicle, because unfortunately, I know a lot of people out there don't take full advantage of plug-in hybrids. Plugging them in every night, getting the full amount of capacity and range from the high voltage battery pack is really where and what you want to do with a vehicle like this, with its EPA rate at 37 miles of all electric range. Now, unfortunately, I don't want to spoil anything, but we were unable to meet that in my range test. But disclaimer, this one does have the roof rails on top, which does affect aerodynamics and might affect overall efficiency, especially in all electric. But taking a look at visibility inside the NX, this is one of the aspects that revisiting this vehicle has put into perspective to me. You have a very commanding viewpoint of the road, even with the seat in its lowest position. So you can see easily over the hood. I actually don't see any of the hood at all because it slopes down so aggressively. You have door-mounted side mirrors with little side window glasses to give you a little bit of visibility behind the A-pillar and the actual mirror itself. The mirror glass is actually very large. It's auto-dimming here on the left side and inside. Unfortunately, not auto-dimming over there on the passenger side. Looking over your shoulder, you do have fairly chunky pillars pillars inside the B and C, but it's really not bad. You have a small quarter window there on the C pillar, and really don't have any blind spot here to the left of me with the B pillar, but you do have blind spot detection. And then out the back, the way that this one is equipped, it does have the digital rear camera mirror, and of course you can flip that down if you don't want to use it. And just taking a look at the rear glass, it's actually fairly sizable. You do have a little space taken up by the actual camera that's mounted inside of the glass on this vehicle. Absolutely love that. Keeps the camera pretty clean as long as you use the windshield washer fluid if the glass itself gets dirty. But I think visibility is really not all that bad on this vehicle, and really I think most people would find it pretty easy to drive. Now I will say you have a fairly sizable dashboard in front of you, which can make certain aspects or maneuvers around curves or small tight turns a little bit tricky to see, but you can use the 360 camera system if you do need to use that, and I think that is a benefit to most people out there. Now before we come up to my bumpy section of road, I like to test every vehicle on, touching on the ride quality and the suspension setup. Now this particular one, just being the standard luxury trim level, does not have the adaptive dampers that is going to be available on some of the F Sport variants. It is a fairly soft riding vehicle. Now I think that's both a positive and a negative because it's comfortable. I think it's pretty well damped for average road conditions, imperfections. I really don't have any complaints in the ride quality. But when you are using the acceleration of this vehicle from the electric motors and or the gas engine combined, there's a lot of both nose dive and nose pickup depending on, you know, braking or accelerating. And it's actually so much so that the automatic leveling headlights will pivot both up and down doing those maneuvers because, you know, the front of the vehicle is both coming up and diving down. So the adaptive dampers would actually be interesting, and I'd be curious to get behind the wheel of those to see if it would solve at least a little bit of the amount of kind of soft waffiness of the suspension and kind of bring it, you know, under a little bit more control. But heading over this bumpy section of road, it's comfortable. It's plush. I mean, it is a very soft riding vehicle, and even with these 20-inch alloy wheels and run flat tires, I have no complaints with the ride quality. I think it's actually very good. I know there's people out there that would probably say the run flat tires add or take away from the, you know, ride quality, but to me, I think it's still very, very sufficient. I think the average person out there would have absolutely no complaints about how this vehicle rides, and I think the damper tuning for how soft it is does a good job of maintaining control. Now, what's interesting is we're in hybrid vehicle mode, and we're driving in fully electric right now at 33 miles an hour, and that is truly the beauty of this powertrain. It is extremely smooth, well refined. Of course, Toyota and Lexus have years of experience in the hybrid and plug-in hybrid space. So that is really one of the absolute best characteristics about this vehicle, is just the transition from electrification to using the gas engine, charging the battery. You have the different buttons here in the center console to use auto, EV, hybrid, or manually select which mode you're in. It's just all very well refined, and I absolutely love it. Now here on the interior, this one has the the Macadamia leather interior, which I believe is a new option for the 2025 model year here on luxury trim level specifically. So it's the nice lighter gray two-tone with the black upper dashboard steering wheel. I think this Nori Green with the Macadamia interior is a very stunning color combination, and I absolutely love it. I think it's a very attractive color. So was that orange one I had last year, year and a half ago. But the interior design, layout, and ergonomics of the NX is just very good. You have the digital cluster, the large 14-inch infotainment system with wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, Sirius XM, AM, FM, USB, Bluetooth inputs, built-in navigation if you want to use that from Lexus, but of course, Google Maps on Android Auto is the way to go in my opinion. The steering wheel is just soft leather. You have the automatic seat climate controls, which I love, dual zone automatic climate. And this one's optioned with, you know, most of the available options, as I mentioned, including the Mark Levinson audio system, which I think sounds pretty darn good. It might not be, you know, superb for most audiophiles, but it's certainly above average in its performance and probably worth the $1,000 charge that they do command to choose that on this particular trim. But I think the interior is very good. The only small complaint I have is the width inside the NX is a little bit small here, specifically for the front seats. So I do find myself contacting the center console as well as the dash or door panel here, but it is padded on both sides. So comfort's really not an issue in most cases. But if you're a bigger individual or have longer legs and like to, spread them out a little bit wider, then just do keep that in mind. It's a little bit tight in some scenarios, but I still am very comfortable. I think the seats themselves with this material, with the perforations, heated, ventilated, heated steering wheel, is all very comfortable, and I have had no complaints in terms of comfort. But I will say the one thing that's not optimal for my spinal fusion in particular, the headrests do point at a forward angle a little bit more than I would prefer. So if these were adjustable fore and aft, or just designed a little bit differently, that would dial in the performance, or the comfort, I guess, a little bit further. Now, the one aspect I do want to touch on here, driving here at 55 miles an hour before we get onto the interstate and discuss the driver assistance technology, is the fact that this one has the crossbars on the panoramic sunroof, and you actually do hear a slight amount of wind buffeting, or just, aerodynamic stuff going on above the glass itself. I think the interior would be just a little bit quieter if it didn't have those crossbars mounted on this vehicle. So do keep that in mind if you're wanting to add crossbars, or just curious about how it affects the interior noise. I do hear it a little bit. I'm not sure if it's just the sunroof letting in that noise, but I think it's a little bit to do with the crossbars. I love the aesthetics of it, but in terms of if it suffers not only electric only range because of the extra drag it's causing, but also a little bit of additional noise in the side of the cabin, I would probably not option those, or not keep them installed on the vehicle when not in use. Now let's go ahead and get onto the interstate here. We'll go ahead and flip the vehicle into sport mode, which changes the digital cluster a little bit, and throttle responsive, and stiffens up the steering a little bit. Putting your foot down into it, I mean, that's not bad at all. There you can feel the soft suspension I was talking about a minute ago. Oh, I mean, that is darn impressive for a vehicle like this. You have to give it to it. It is pretty darn good. Anyways, getting well up to speed here. Activating the driver assistance tech and adaptive cruise control is very easy. One press of a button right here on the right side of the steering wheel. Go ahead and set our cruise control. And it also activates the lane tracing assist simultaneously. And take a look at the Lexus Safety Systems 3.0. The performance inside this vehicle is very good, like I've mentioned in a lot of other Toyota Lexus products. Lane centering's good. I haven't had any complaints with, I guess, how well it senses the lane. Now, this is actually a little bit challenging set of road because it's a little bit rough and unmarked in areas, but it does a very solid job keeping you in the lane. I believe this is a touch capacitive wheel, if I'm not mistaken, so you actually don't have to put too much feedback into it. You just have to keep your hands on it to keep the system satisfied from bugging you and giving you that alert up on the dashboard. It even has the available lane change assist functionality, so activating the turn signal puts you in the left lane. Just keep your hand rested on it, and you can see it did a pretty good, darn good job there. We'll go ahead and put it back into the right lane so we don't miss our exit here. It's maybe not the best lane change assist function, but it's pretty darn good, and I have no complaints about it. Taking a look at wind noise and road noise though, now I do have the shade open on this particular vehicle as well as those crossbars. You hear a decent amount of wind noise specifically above you. Road noise is actually not that bad, and I think, if I had the shade closed, it's a very luxurious place to be out at 75, 80 miles an hour on the interstate. So I don't think in that capacity anyone would be disappointed either. And going around this turn, again, you feel the suspension. Not the most sporty thing, but fuel economy as a whole, over my, I think just over 100 miles, we'll go ahead and check this right now. Yeah, just over 110 miles since I last reset it. Now I put way more miles on it than that total, but I've been averaging 44.1 mpg in hybrid vehicle mode. And I think the average person out there, whether you're doing 70, 75 miles an hour or maybe putting around town, would see at least, at a minimum, 38 to 40 mpg in hybrid vehicle mode, and of course much higher if you plug this vehicle in every night and take real advantage of the plug-in hybrid electrification. So I think that is, again, where the plug-in hybrid really has a strong advantage, even over that of the standard hybrid, is utilizing the high voltage battery on a daily basis. I can feel the automatic ventilated seats kicking in because it's getting a little bit warm here inside of the cabin, so that is awesome. Tons of headroom, good amount of space for a compact sized vehicle, even in the back seat. Maybe wish it had a few more amenities such as heated second row seats as an available option. But yeah, I think it's a very nice vehicle to live with. It's a great styled vehicle. I think it would just depend on if you really wanted to take advantage of the plug-in hybrid every single day, could utilize the roughly 35 miles of all electric range and not use as much fuel to overcome the cost difference of the hybrid versus the plug-in hybrid. Now, I think just one other small drawback of the NX plug-in hybrid is specifically the fact that there is no onboard power available in the form of a 115, 120 volt outlet in the cargo area or the second row. I think anytime there's a high voltage, high capacity battery pack on vehicles like this, I think manufacturers should automatically really look at adding 120 volt power, because whether it's 1500 watts, 2000 watts, 2500 watts, all of that is extremely usable, whether you're camping, just using it for tailgating events, or, using it for an emergency situation. Say the power goes out at your house, that amount of power is extremely usable for either like one appliance, like a refrigerator and freezer combination. You can even run, circular saws or other items off, 2000 plus watts of power. And unfortunately, that is not present in the NX. So I think that is one of the big drawbacks that I find unfortunate about this vehicle and the way that this one is equipped, versus that of some of their other plug-in or standard hybrid models in their lineup. From both Toyota and Lexus, they offer that, but for some reason, the compact vehicle that we're currently in does not. So that's going to be, I think, the one big drawback I would like to see added to this vehicle, or maybe a future generation of it. But outside of that, I think the NX plug-in hybrid offers a lot of competitive attributes and a lot of positivities. So I think that is basically where I'm going to leave this driving review on the 2025 Lexus NX450h plug-in hybrid. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this vehicle down in the comment section below. As always, I want to give a huge thanks to Lexus for sending this vehicle out for me to test and review over the last week, and just supporting the channel in general over the last year and a half. If you guys want to check out additional content, both on the hybrid and plug-in hybrid, they're both still very relevant, as both vehicles are nearly identically, not identically equipped, but identically still available for 2025. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this vehicle and price point, and whether or not you would purchase one down in the comment section below. If you guys enjoyed this video and or found something helpful, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, I appreciate you guys watching these videos, allowing me to do this over the last year and a half, and I look forward to continuing it for the foreseeable future. So with all being said, I hope to see you guys in the next one.